Howdy, it's Angela. Okay, so there's a lot of stories going around about what can happen if we do not have a clear presidential winner declared by the time the inauguration rolls around. Yes, this is scary as hell. I'm not going to lie. However, this isn't without precedent. We have a contingency plan. In fact, it's called the contingent election. It's in the Constitution. It's actually on house.gov. I will put the link in the comment in the description below. You guys can check it out for yourself. However, it's called the contingent election. What would happen, it says, it would be held if no candidate receives a clear majority of votes. I've said it before, you guys, and I will never waver from it. Madison was a freaking genius. He had a contingency plan. It's called the contingent election. Don't you just love the irony? Anyways. Made throughout the years, and I will address that in a minute. However, basically, they would select between Trump and Biden. The delegations from each state would be and the Supreme Court just addressed this. God works in mysterious ways, right? The timing? The Supreme Court just addressed this. The delegate that is sent to the state to make the to cast the vote has to vote by what the state says. Okay? So they don't just get to go rogue. There isn't like we're going to have some, cool. Anyway, so each state, one vote. As it stands right now, we have 27 Republican governors. I don't know how each state's, I don't know if the legislator gets to decide or if the governor gets to decide or how it's figured out. It was kind of be like, if a senator goes to, I would assume it would be like if a senator, Josh Hawley, decides that, President Trump nominates him for the Supreme Court, he is, he passes all the freaking hurdles. They would throw out whoever the next nominee is. He's on SCOTUS, so they have to nominate a new senator. I don't know in his state if it's done by governor or if it's done by legislator. I don't know. In most states, I assume it's done by governor, but I'm not 100% sure of that because I don't have all of the 50-state government memorized, okay? So, anyways, that being said, this has happened before. Two cases. Very interesting cases. Actually, two of my favorite presidential elections, I'll be honest. First one being 1800. That's when my house was built, by the way, 1800. That's how old this freaking house is. It was the election between second President John Adams and third President Thomas Jefferson. It is, in fact, one of the reasons they hated each other up until the last few years before they each died, again, on the same year. I love history. Anyways. And actually, not on the same year, the same day. It was July 4th. These two, by the way, it wasn't just Thomas Jefferson who wrote the Declaration of Independence. It was actually Ben Franklin and I want to say, not Madison, Mason. Not Mason. It doesn't matter. And John Adams. John Quincy Adams was his son. He's the second election between John Quincy Adams and Andrew Jackson. But hold on, let's go back to Adams and Jefferson. They hated each other. It was you think the elections are bad now? They're pretty horrible back then. They said, I think Jefferson put out ads that if John Adams was reelected, hermaphrodites were going to rape your daughters and stuff like that. So politics, these guys have always been kind of shitty to each other. Anyway, so let's see. There's that one. And as we know, Washington, the elites never liked, even General Washington, our first president, Alexander Hamilton. None of them ever really liked Adams. As if you watch the Adams docu-series that was on HBO, which was really cool, really good, they really never liked Adams. So it's not surprising that Jefferson was selected in the 1800 presidential election. And then moving forward to 1824, it was John Quincy Adams was running for re-election and against General Jackson, Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson, the people loved him much like Trump. I actually likened him in one of my first videos, if not my first video, this election. The primary, it was almost like Ted Cruz, who was the scholar, who had the background, who had the understanding, who had the constitutional heft, who had the seat in Congress, the Senate, John Quincy Adams later went on to have a seat in the House of Representatives. And And that's actually what he said later was his favorite political position, was sitting in the House. He liked it the most. It was closest to the people. But the election between General Jackson and John Quincy Adams, it went with General Jackson, but Washington hated him. And that's where you had your kitchen cabinet. He did not have a cabinet he could trust. He didn't have anybody in Washington he could trust. So he had what was called the kitchen cabinet. He had his closest advisors. He would keep, who were his unofficial cabinet members. His closest advisors would meet in the kitchen of the White House in the dead of night to sort of dictate policy and executive orders and so on and so forth. I'm not suggesting Jackson was a great guy. I mean, he was responsible for the Trail of Tears, so there's that. But Jackson did do some good stuff. Whether you agree with the Fed or the centralized bank or not, you should read up on your Jackson and have a look at that history, which is kind of interesting and really affects today. Anyways, so there's that. There's also another unofficial, which was Rutherford B. Hayes, and that was in 1876. They actually, on this one is the precedent that I think people should maybe look into as well. And I'm not going to do all the work for you. I'm just going to give you some, the breadcrumbs, and you can start, digging down your own bunny trails. It's what I do. Anyways, Rutherford B. Hayes, there was some, obviously it was it didn't have the same contingent electoral sort of college, vote. What they did was they assembled a panel of bipartisan people from the House of Representatives, SCOTUS, Senate, people from different House districts, state levels rather. So they decided, and Rutherford B. Hayes won the election by one electoral vote. So there is precedent for contested elections. There is precedent for things to be done. And it's not going to come down to the drinker of the House being our president. Don't worry. Don't let them scare you. Don't let them scare you. It's in the Constitution. Madison was a flippin' genius. I've said it before. I'll say it again. That's all I got, guys. Talk to your kids about politics before someone else does, because then you get crap like this. We're better than that. And if you got any questions, ask me on Parler. Leave them in the comments below. Ask me a question about the Constitution. I'll answer it. If you want to know where I get all of this information, or, I have to obviously look up some of the notes, but I worked on Being George Washington. My name, you'll see it. Look in the credits. It's in there, by Glenn Beck. It's there. I did so much research and dug so deep into the founding of this country and understanding the mindset of Madison. He fascinated me because he thought of everything, guys. People who, I've said this before, people who don't understand our Constitution or say it's an antiquated document, shame on you. Shame on you. You should really understand who Madison. He wasn't cool. He was a dork. He was a total little dork, but he was brilliant. And he understood government. He understood human nature. He understood religion. The Judeo-Christian value. He actually wrote the Virginia Constitution before the U.S. Constitution. After the Articles of Confederation made it clear that they needed a new Constitution, they basically, do your own research. I don't want to do it all for you. It's such a good story. Anyways, look into Madison. Like I said, I will leave in the description below, I will leave the House of Representatives link, and you saw the screen captures. Do your own research, guys. Nancy Pelosi is not going to be our president. It's okay. Talk to you soon. If you're worried about it, talk to your governors and state legislators. Write to them, call them, let them know how you feel, because be afraid, guys. Talk to your kids about drugs. Talk to your kids about politics before someone else does. Thanks, guys. Bye.